So we all have our favorite virtual instruments, our signature sounds, but not every sound engine or synth we want to use has the ability to microtune itself. But now, thanks to a great third-party plugin called MTS Esp by the company Odd Sound, we now have the ability to unlock microtunings in a whole host of soft synths. One of the most exciting and popular instruments on this list is the Arturia collection of classic synth emulations. So let's find out how to get some of Lumatone's microtonal mappings linked up with some of Arturia's finest instruments. Hey all, it's Dave once again, and lately we've been going over how to connect Lumatone's microtonal mappings with some great instruments like Contacts, Engine, and Pianotech and Surge. And I'm pleased to say that today we're going to be doing the same for the fantastic and much beloved soft synth collection by Arturia. For those of you unaware, Arturia uses physical modeling to build a huge collection of some of the world's most iconic synths, from the Juno to the CS80 to the Prophet 5 and many more. And as amazing as these sound, look, and function, none of these actually have a microtuning option built in. Enter MTS Esp. It's created by the company Odd Sound, which is in affiliation with the legendary Aphex Twin. This is a software that can live between your Lumatone and your virtual instruments, allowing you to tune them any way you see fit. One of the most popular virtual instruments that has jumped on board is the Arturia Synth Collection. Basically, by bringing the MTS Esp plugin into your DAW signal chain, any tuning, transposing, or adjusting you do within it will automatically assign those changes to any virtual instrument you pull up that can connect with it. So as it stands now, the MTS Esp can be connected to a pretty big list of Arturia's synths, which you can check out on their website. The full Master Suite version isn't free, it's going for about 120 bucks, but they do give you a 1-month fully functional free trial to mess around with. They also have a mini version that is completely free, and depending on your needs, this might be all you need. So let's first take a look at that. Okay, so with the free mini version of MTS Esp, it's really as simple as this. Once it's installed, you can just pull it up in a MIDI track in your DAW, and from there it lets you load in Scala, KBM, or tune files. As I've mentioned in other videos, these are small script files that you can find around the internet that can tell various instruments how you'd like to tune it. Now, you won't be creating any tunings and scales from scratch or making adjustments in any way. These displays here are just going to reflect what tuning file you bring in. But say you want to use the 22 EDO mapping on your Lumatone, just go up here to load and pull in a 22 EDO tuning file. In this case, it's a Scala file. We can see it tells us our steps and map size is at 22 and our reference note C3. Again, you can't make adjustments on those, but just by pulling in that 22 EDO tuning file, the Mini is now tuned to 22 EDO. So the MTS Esp works as a kind of microtonal translator within your DAW, and you can only have one instance of it in your project at a time. But once it's pulled up, any other virtual instrument that plays nice with it will automatically be tuned to that 22 EDO tuning file we just pulled in. So let's try that out with an Arturia synth right now. So now I'll go ahead and make another MIDI track, and we'll pull up one of the many Arturia synths that do connect with the MTS Esp, like this classic Oberheim right here. You'll know it connects to MTS Esp by the indicator at the bottom here, letting you know that it's on. And if you look back at your Mini, it will say one client connected. Just like that, without any more work, you can now play an Arturia synth microtonally with 22 notes per octave on our Lumatone. So besides being free, the Mini version does have one more advantage over the Master Suite version, at least for now, and that is that it can work with multi-channel mappings. Now, if you've seen my past videos, you'll know that this can be valuable when you're playing a mapping that uses so many notes per octave that you need to use more than one MIDI channel to lay the notes over all 280 keys of the Lumatone. Multi-channel mapping on the Lumatone allows you to assign, say, the 53 notes of one octave to MIDI channel 1, and the next octave's 53 notes to channel 2, and so on. And a multi-channel tuning file knows to read these channels sequentially and make use of all 280 keys. If you're looking to make tunings in the full version of ESP, there isn't currently a multi-channel function that will allow you to make use of multi-channel mappings, though I'm told it's something that Odd Sound will be implementing in the future. But if you want to use multi-channel maps, you can just use the free mini version and bring in multi-channel tuning files. I'll admit I am no scripting wizard, or even a scripting elf, but if any of you folks out there have Scala or KBM files that are specifically mapped to Lumatone's multi-channel mappings, please feel free to email me at dave@lumatone.io, and I will spread them around in the description below. But with that out of the way, maybe you just want to use microtonal tunings that have fewer notes per octave, like 19 or 22 or 24 EDO. In fact, most of the 31 EDO preset that comes with your Lumatone will indeed work for the most part as well. In that case, no tuning files or scripts necessary. Instead, let's take a look at getting Lumatone's microtonal mappings to work with Arturia using the Master Suite version of MTS Esp. Okay, so you can pull up the master version in a MIDI track just like you did with the Mini. Now this thing does a whole lot more than just create equally divided tunings, like wild things like scale morphing or transposing, which can be set up with key switching, and you can mess around with just intonation and tunings that aren't equally divided. We'll look at all of that in the future, but today let's take a look at simply setting it up with Lumatone preset. So at the top here, we can toggle through our setup options. We got a tuning graph, the macros, which offers a heap of adjustments that can be made globally, and the scale section. Here is where we'll create an equally divided tuning. You can make multiple different tunings down here in the scaling list and toggle between them. By default, we got just the 12-tone tuning here pulled up. On the left here, we see the description of it, much like we saw in the Mini, but now we can actually go in and adjust them right here if we'd like. Though by punching in, say, 31 here in the step size and make our map size 31, you'll see down here in the keyboard section, it's added the steps, but here in the tuning table, we see it's still equally divided by 100 cents for those first 12 notes, and then there's a whole lot of nothing after that. Now you could go in and directly punch in the amount of cents between the intervals if you'd like, but if you're just looking to equally divide the octave, there is an easier way. So to make an equally divided tuning, we'll go back to our tuning list here and create a new scale by clicking the plus sign. Under new, we'll find rank 1 ET, which stands for equal temperament. Give that a click. Now we have a drop-down menu here where our tuning table was. And under scale parameters, we can choose to equally divide the octave. Now if we punch in 31 and we go back to our tuning table, we see we've got all 31 steps equally divided by 38.71 cents. The ESP by itself does generate sound, which is great for testing things out. You can go down here and choose between a sine, a saw, a square, a triangle wave. Sounds like we're in 31. Okay, and now that I've got that 31 EDO scale set up, I'll show you what I mean about that multi-channel issue. So here's the 31 EDO preset that comes with your Lumatone. As we can see, it is mostly mapped to channel 1 from section 1 to section 4. And in section 5, the highest octave does move to MIDI channel 2, which uses the same MIDI notes as the previous octave. So since the ESP Master Suite doesn't have a multi-channel function, our highest octave will just be a repeat of the previous octave. But other than that, the ESP will get us playing the 31 EDO mapping with Arturia, no problem. And of course, as I said, mappings like 19, 22, 24 can all be used across the entire Lumatone board by simply choosing the amount of steps in the scale division section here. But let's keep it at 31 here, as most of it is fully functional. And again, just like the Mini at the bottom here, it'll tell us which clients it's connected to. Right now we're at 0, so let's go ahead and pull up another Arturia instrument. Let's go with the Emulator 2 here. Now we got our MTS Esp on indicator, and in ESP it says we are connected to one client. And just like that, we have another Arturia instrument tuned microtonally, this time at 31 EDO. Now, I can't overstate this. The revelation of using Lumatone microtonally with synth emulations as high quality and well designed as Arturia is huge. Not just for me, but for all the folks who find Arturia's instruments to be a phenomenal source of inspiration. And we have that new secret weapon, MTS Esp, to thank. This plugin can do a whole lot more than just the one task we played with today, and it's all worth exploring. And as more virtual instrument creators link up with this software, the more options us Lumatone users will have. So stay tuned as we keep going down an endless rabbit hole with this instrument. Feel free to like and subscribe, and we'll catch you next time.